So in just under 2 weeks time, on the 9th of December, we're getting our first big free content update for Jurassic World Evolution 3. Now these were always the best part of the last two games for me, never mind the DLCs, but the free updates that came along with those DLCs was always the stuff that really changed the game for the better. So I'm pretty excited to see what is contained in this free update, although of course we already know most of it. Or do we? We do, yeah we do, yeah.
Since launch, we've been admiring all the incredible parks you've been creating, and we wanted to give all park managers some new ways to customise your enclosures. The Cypress Swamp Brush is a new environment brush for tropical and temperate biomes, which lets you bring wetland-inspired enclosures to life. This brush paints new cypress trees across parks and introduces a murky mist which seeps across the floor, fantastic for your dinosaur photography.
So the update kicks off with my personal favourite biome on the planet, the swampy biome. Really excited. I live for the swamp. That means a new wetland brush specifically for your temperate and your tropical biomes only. One that brushes in the groundwater texture that we already have, but it also brushes in a bunch of brand new cypress trees. And much more importantly than all of that, it also brushes in mist. Mist which has been sorely lacking from this game. Of course we had it in Evolution 2 on the Biosyn Valley map. It was the best map in the game purely because of the mist, and it's finally back. Now there is a small problem. I don't love that it's tied to a singular 2-biome foliage brush. It means none of the other brushes in the game have this mist effect, and it means that none of your other swamp brushes even have this effect, seemingly. Given how much I love the mist, both the film and the effect, I would love to see this. I mean, look, I'm very, very happy about this, don't get me wrong, but I'd love to see it added a little bit more to the game, either as a toggle option maybe for a few other foliage brushes, that would be pretty cool, or of course even better as a placeable item like a mist generator that you can put down. I suspect they might have concerns about, performance and stuff, but you could limit how many you're allowed, or you'd have it, quite a short viewing distance, stuff like that. Either way, it's very cool, but I'd love to see it pushed even further. New trees themselves look pretty good as well. They're very typical for a swampy cypress sort of tree. They look specifically like the bold cypress that you would usually, bold as in BA, not bold as in RR, the bold cypress that you would associate with North American swamps more than anything else. The likes of Saurian had a lot of similar looking cypress trees. Cypresses are a pretty diverse family of trees. There's a lot of cypresses that don't really look like cypresses, but when I think swamp trees, this is exactly what I have in mind, so tick.
We've also included a handful of new cypress trees as scenery pieces, so you can go in and design your wetland environments exactly how you like.
Thankfully, these are not just contained, however, to that new foliage brush, but we're getting 5 individual cypress trees that we can now place around our parks individually, and that of course means they're also scalable. So that's going to go some way to letting us make these even cooler swamp environments. Even on an arid map, for example, you're building a park in the desert, but maybe you still want a swampy habitat for your Therizinosaurus, for example. So that's going to let us do that a little bit more, although of course you won't have the mist, which makes it all pointless. I love the mist, okay?
The island generator is getting some exciting new updates to make the tool even more powerful for our sandbox players. As part of the update, we're happy to announce that the island generator is getting 3 additional biomes to choose from. Alongside tropical, players will now be able to pick from temperate, desert, or Mediterranean biomes when starting their island customization.
The island generator is getting some really good new changes as well, ones that make me a lot more likely to use it going forward. If I'm honest, I haven't touched it since the game launched, but with these changes, it's gonna get a little bit more tempting at least. For one, we're getting 3 new biomes. Now we already had tropical, but now we're getting desert, Mediterranean, and temperate. Mediterranean in particular feels like a very obvious inclusion because these islands, I would say shape-wise, most represent the Maltese islands we have in the game, and they have that Mediterranean kind of colour scheme and theme. Now this dose of variety alone is a pretty big boost to the island generator, but my problem with the island generator has always been the lack of customization, the lack of freedom that you get with it, and thankfully that has been addressed as well, at least to some extent.
A new slider has been added to the mode, which allows you to adjust the prominence of beaches on your generated islands. Islands can now feature more cliffs or more beaches depending on your preference. We've been listening to player feedback around the building boundaries on the islands. You'll now be able to decorate your waterways, cliff faces and beaches with scenery pieces. This will make for some truly unique and stunning islands that we're so excited to see.
You can now scale up. You've got like a new bar for cliffs and beaches. So one side is more cliffy, more straight edges at the edge of your map, and one side is more beaches. We can also, though, more excitingly, also throw scenery items onto those cliffs and beaches, but also to the waterways that cut, to the waterways that cut their way through your island. So that's a really positive change. Gonna, really make our parks feel a lot more like parks, which is great. We can, build structures on the cliffs, build structures on the beaches. We could build bridges. They're not going to work, but we could build bridges over the waterways and make them feel more integrated into the park itself. The more interesting part of all this, though, is the compy at the end sat on the beach, because right now, I'm going to cut to a clip that I took earlier. Right now, you can't build on the beaches. The beaches are outside the confines of your map. You cannot build there at all. So there's two options here, really. Either A, that's an A. Either they're going to fold beaches into the confines of the map, let us build on beaches properly, let us actually terrain tool on beaches, let us build exhibits, etc., all the way down to the beach. That's very much what I'm hoping for. That's very much what the trailer suggests. Or, of course, it's trailer bait, basically, and the trailer is lying to us, essentially, and they've just stuck a compy on there for the aesthetic. I really hope that's not the case, and we will now be able to integrate those better into our builds, because right now it's very static and sort of very uniform in level. You can't really get down to that beachy water sort of terrain. So hopefully the new edge of the map is kind of like right where the beach hits the water, basically. That would be a really positive change as well. Between all of that, may well start using the generator. Maybe.
Alongside all these new features, we're always looking at optimizations that we can make to improve the overall gameplay experience. Firstly, we've added the blueprint menu to make it easier to see all of your custom and downloaded creations in one place. Next, you can now copy path styles from elsewhere in the park, making sure everything matches up exactly without having to hunt for that specific colour you chose earlier on. Finally, we've added a navigation heat map so that you can see exactly where small, medium, large and giant species can navigate, as well as guests and vehicles, making it easier to see that your parks are operating as expected.
There's some really good quality of life changes coming to the game as well. Blueprints are now going to have their own dedicated menu, so you can access those. They could maybe do some more subcategories, but a split between buildings and scenery at the very least. There might be some others in there. I would love the ability to categorize them myself, or even more so, and I cannot believe this hasn't made it into this free update, but we still don't have a way to favorite things, which I think is absolutely crazy. It feels so necessary, and yet it still isn't an option. I'm really hoping they think about it and they add, like, just like Planet Zoo has a little heart, boop, you just boop in the corner and it adds it to a new tab, your favorite tab. I would love that more than most things in this update, other than the mist. More, take away the island generator. I don't care, give me a favorite button, please, I beg. Otherwise, of course, positive little change. There's now also a new copy path button, which I'm sure Evo is thrilled about, and makes a lot of sense given we have such increased customizability in our paths this time around. As well as a way to check which animals can navigate around your park, different sizes of animals. Very handy for building those more natural enclosures where you might be building a rock wall. Maybe you want a little gap in there to let people view, or a little tunnel for something. This will be pretty handy as well if you're building exhibits that contain small, medium and large dinosaurs. This is going to make it a lot easier to have an exhibit that, say, you've got like a little nesting area that's only accessible from your smaller dinosaurs. That's quite a fun little idea, actually, to have them integrated into the same larger build, but with little areas that are only accessible to those smaller dinosaurs. You could always do that, of course, but now it's going to be much more obvious that you can do that, or how to do that. And that's largely it for this free update. The new mist brush is obviously the big thing, and I'm immediately going to be adding a swampy area to Elderwood to accommodate. But other than that, it's a solid, but I would not say spectacular free update.
That's a very quick look at the powerful new features coming on December 9th. Everything we've shown today will be released along with a variety of fixes and optimizations. You'll be able to find a full list in the patch notes. Before we wrap up, we have one more thing to show you. As a special thank you, we're thrilled to announce that we are going to be adding a returning fan favourite species alongside this update on December 9th. I wonder if you can figure out what it is. We hope you enjoy the update. Thanks for watching.
There is one more addition though, teased here right at the end. Now I'm not allowed, under threat of death, I am not allowed to speculate, not even to speculate, about what this dinosaur could be. I can't even say it's Cabot Finch in a dinosaur costume. Maybe I'm allowed to say that. But what I can say is that this is a returning species from the past game, and I will be revealing it here on the channel at a later date. So if you somehow don't know what this dinosaur is, come back on the channel. TBD at the time, TBA, TBD, and I'll let you know. Anyway, that's it for our first big free content drop. Let me know which of these things you'd be most excited for and why is it the mist brush. Okay? Okay. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you lovely folks very soon. Cheers. Much love. As always. Bye-bye.